Right now, people living in Puerto Rico are waiting for power to be fully restored across the island. Puerto Rico's governor says it could take days.
The electrical system was damaged throughout the island. Personnel from the Electric Power Authority as well as Luma are working to bring back power to the majority of people as quickly as possible as the inspection and restoration work is being done.
Hurricane Fiona slammed the island Sunday, knocking out power and leaving residents without clean water. It's an all too familiar scene for those who've lived through Hurricane Maria exactly 5 years ago today. Maria knocked out the island's power grid. Rebuilding was actually still underway when Hurricane Fiona hit. Sergio Marchaux is a policy director and general counsel at the Center for a New Economy, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan think tank based in Puerto Rico. He joins us now live. Sergio, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Veronica, and glad to be here.
So, Sergio, we understand that it's been 5 years now since Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. Still, the majority of people, some 3 million people, lost power during Hurricane Fiona. So there's no power, there's no drinking water. What happened in the past 5-year period? Take us through this timeline, because the power grid is still not fixed.
That is correct. After the emergency repairs were done for the damage caused by Maria, which they took around a year, they were done in 2018. We were supposed to undertake a more protracted and a complicated set of repairs to bring the system up to date and to strengthen it and make it more resilient. Unfortunately, that was not done. So the system was functional but very fragile, and that's what happened when Fiona hit. By no means was it ready to face a system of this kind. And unfortunately, right now we still have around 80% of the people in the island without power.
Yeah, 80% of the people without power, and you're saying that the system was fragile. It was functional somewhat, but the way I understand it, the average customer in Puerto Rico loses power 7.6 times a year. And this is even when there isn't a hurricane, even when there are perfect conditions in terms of the weather. So what is happening with the funding? Because I understand that FEMA designated $21 billion in aid to help Puerto Rico's infrastructure, and only 2% of the aid has been used. So why is that exactly?
That is correct. The pace of the disbursement for the permanent work on the grid has been extremely slow. Part of the problem is just bureaucratic. FEMA is a very difficult agency to work with, and it's not only in Puerto Rico. You can ask any governor from the Gulf states, Florida, Texas, Alabama. They all will tell you the same thing. It's a very cumbersome process. In addition, this is the first time FEMA makes a grant of this size. We're talking about $12 billion to rebuild the grid, and the state-owned utility in Puerto Rico is bankrupt. It's currently in a bankruptcy process to restructure its debt. So it's not a very worthy counterparty, I would say. So FEMA has been extremely cautious about how it spends its money. And then finally, you have honest policy debates as to what should be done with the system in terms of incorporating renewables or bringing in more natural gas and fossil fuel generation. And again, that's also a debate that has been ongoing not only in Puerto Rico, but in many places around the world.
Absolutely. I think that renewable energy is something that all countries, to your point, are talking about right now. President Biden has been speaking a lot about that. I want to ask you more about Luma in particular, because I understand that Luma has a contract that is going to be expiring on November 30th. Who is behind Luma? Because Luma is a private contractor. Luma is a private company.
That is correct. And they were hired essentially by the government of Puerto Rico to operate the transmission and distribution system, what people usually call the grid, the electrical grid. And they have been on it for around 15 months. Their performance has not been up to expectations. They have missed, they have been over budget. They have missed certain benchmarks that they were supposed to hit in order to bring the system up to date. So right now, we just have to deal with them because the state-owned utility dismantled its transmission and distribution system, and it perhaps will create more damage if we try to switch operators right now while the emergency response is still ongoing. After the emergency response is done and taken care of, and the system is basically brought back online, I think the government of Puerto Rico will have to consider what its options are going forward, depending on how Luma performs during this period, and going forward, what the expectations are for Luma to be up to expectations.
All right. So you're saying that essentially people are just going to have to deal with it is what I'm hearing from you. But we're looking at these pictures as you're talking, and homes are flooded. There are cars that have just been abandoned in the middle of what are now rushing rivers. People there are suffering. I mean, what do you say to those in the meantime? I was listening to a report earlier from a man in Puerto Rico who was saying that he spends $15 a day in gas to power his generator. How are people supposed to live in the meantime?
Yes, it's a very difficult situation, and you're completely right. I mean, we're just hoping that Luma and FEMA can get its act together and bring up power faster than what happened after Maria. But for the vast majority of people in the island, it's an extremely difficult situation. We got actually more rainfall this time around than we did when Maria passed by. So there's a lot more flooding, a lot more damage to roads, bridges, infrastructure, houses, commercial buildings. And we need to clear those roads. We need to open those roads so we can get to the places we need to get to fix the electrical grid and the other infrastructure that needs to be fixed. It's going to take a while. We do have our work cut out for us.
Absolutely. It's very, very difficult to look at the pictures in the meantime. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, how much does Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. territory play into all of this?
Well, it's certainly a factor. I mean, the fact that we don't have senators and only one non-voting representative in the House certainly affects how the federal government treats us. I do have to say, though, that the Biden administration has been more receptive to, bringing resources down to Puerto Rico faster than the previous administration. And, leaving politics aside, I think that probably has to do with the president's own personal history. He's probably a lot more sensitive to the pain and suffering of other people, given what he has been through in his own life. So hopefully we will get the federal support we need, and with less strings attached than we did last time, so we can, expedite the recovery and get on with the reconstruction of the island.
Yeah, Sergio Marchaux is from the Center for a New Economy, which is a think tank there in Puerto Rico. Sergio, our thoughts are with you and the people of Puerto Rico. Thank you so much for your time today. We do appreciate you giving us an update there.
Thank you for having me, and thank you on behalf of the people of Puerto Rico.
Of course.